Hi, everyone. I am joined today by my friend Michelle. Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Michelle Kasprzak, and I'm an Amsterdam-based curator, writer, and yeah, currently finishing my PhD. And that's what I'm reading and writing and thinking for a living. It's nice.
Amazing. I've known you for a really long time, and I think, futzing around the Futurist Wikipedia page on Twitter, and then you kind of popped into my DMs and said, I have some opinions about this. So I thought it would be great for you to share with us what those opinions were. So why don't you tell us what's going on?
Well, it was funny because you mentioned the Futurist Wikipedia page, which I have called up here on my screen. And you look through this history that's being written. And Wikipedia, I mean, as a platform in and of itself, has a lot of problematic aspects. Certainly, when you're trying to edit a page, someone comes in and undoes what you did for various reasons which may seem uh, petty or strange, or if you're not used to the kind of culture of Wikipedia editing, you don't get it why they roll things back or consider your changes contentious or something like that. It's also frustrating if you try to start a page for somebody and they're deemed not notable, and it's interesting to think about who's not notable and why. Um, I actually just this morning read a very old article on The Guardian about architecture prizes, and particularly how very often architecture practices are couples, husband and wife couples, but the husband gets the prize and the you know wife kind of stays in the background. So, and there are a million examples of that we can think of. Rudy
My,
Koolhaas being one of them.
if I interrupt you very quickly, my best example of like the kind of wife who can't get the prize thing is Marie Curie, who almost was not allowed to be on her first Nobel Prize because it was going to be given to the two male kind of co-workers with her,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
eventually someone said something, and they're like, "Oh, fine, have it." And eventually she got her second Nobel Prize on her own, and this is years after her husband had died. And
yeah,
there's a lot
yeah.
of that going on.
Yeah, science is full of that. Female PhD students who their supervisor gets the prize or what have you. Anyway, it goes on and on and on. And it's funny, someone challenged me on it once, and I said, just Google female work stolen or women's work uncredited, and watch the pages and pages of prominent thinkers who you never would have thought their wife was co-writing with them or what have you. So it's this kind of, there's this massive, you get the feeling you're looking at the tip of the iceberg and that there's like all these other examples. Anyway, so you mentioned on Twitter that you were going to edit this page. So I thought, okay, let's take a look. I see that the page, I think, has actually been edited since now. Instead of, there was a notable futurists section, and now it's like another article list. So going through this list, and you were trying to add some, trying to diversify this very male list. Oh, I see. Haha, someone's already changed this as well, because the person in question that I was looking at was Alvin Toffler, who famously wrote Future Shock, which was kind of a big, made a big splash at the time. And well, I edited it to be Alvin and Heidi Toffler because they wrote all the books together. The Tofflers, they wrote numerous books, created a foundation, and on the foundation website, you'll see it's prominently displayed that they collaborated on all the books. So someone took Heidi's name out again, and so I guess the work is never done. You're always kind of cleaning up. I created. I didn't even create a new page for her because I knew that would be problematic. I knew there would be a conversation. Is she notable on her own, etc.? It would probably just get deleted. So all I did was create a redirect to Alvin Toffler's page, because in this page, he and his wife Heidi Toffler. There we go. Anyway, so most of his writings, all of his writings. Anyway, so I created a redirect so that you could hyperlink Alvin and Heidi Toffler, and it would automatically take you to this page. And this redirect was accepted by the, there's like a Wikipedia kind of process for accepting what are valid redirects and which are not. So I see that, okay, great. I I made my tiny contribution, and it's already kind of been shuffled away. That's interesting to discover that here, talking to you. I guess I'll have to go in and edit that again. I could go and look at the talk page and see, all I want is for her name to be there. I mean, it's one thing to look at these things and think, wow, look at all these dudes writing interesting books or doing interesting things, but, it's, you can't be what you don't see, right? So you're just going to look at this thing and think, oh yeah, well, no, there's no people of color, there's no women, there's no, anybody doing any of this kind of futurist thinking, which, by the way, is an entire, I have a whole other rant about that as a field, or what it represents, or the kinds of futures that are conjured up that largely try to mostly maintain the status quo anyway. So, it's, let's see, I'm just gonna look at the list and the edits. Attention, editors. Whoa. Oh, okay.
Do you think there's something about the process of there's a sort of, obviously this seems to be a community of people who think that her work is not worthy, right? Because her edits are being removed continuously, and we'll see as you publish these changes live for this video. Anybody who sees this video later on can see whether that's been amended or not. And, there are groups of people who are clearly not interested in her story. And the fact that she also doesn't have her own page
she doesn't,
supports that somehow, I think.
Yeah, and so someone's probably going to roll that back. I see now that they've created this list with birth and death dates, I'm going to have to also add that in so that they don't consider that a reason to say, oh, we have to change it back because, I mean, so there's always some kind of like bureaucratic reason that something can get shoved under the carpet. There's always a technicality, right? Like, it's like, oh, yeah, well, the table has birth and death dates, so, we can't have two dates in the same field, or whatever, some kind of bizarre bureaucratic thing. Or that we should continue to view wives as property. And so if you mention the husband, you're implying the wife, so why would we bother to credit them separately, which is of course absurd. So it's kind of this process of trying to undo that thinking or challenge that thinking, which is amazingly still so pervasive. So
do you think it's as common now with people who are obviously not dead yet? Because obviously Alvin Toffler, I don't know if Heidi is dead.
They're both dead, yeah.
Right. So would it be, is more recent history cleaner, ethically speaking?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think not, actually. I think I still see a lot of husband and wife practices, certainly, where, one collects all the credits. It's not hard to guess which one. I think, it's a process of continual undoing, and I think that's just the way it is, and it's kind of as perhaps futile as these Wikipedia edits I'm making that I don't know if they'll stick or not. But if you don't keep correcting it, like, eventually it will have to stick if enough people did it, right? So yeah, and I know a lot of people who are, yourself, for example, like-minded, and would take the 5 minutes to add that in, or just, I mean, it's trivial once you figure out how to edit Wikipedia. It's, it really takes 5 minutes.
I'm going to kind of stop us there, I think, because we could keep going forever, but I'm going to point everyone who watches this video to a project called Women in Red, which is a community project aiming at turning the red links, which is what happens in Wikipedia when you don't have a page, into a collective exercise of creating a page. So if, like Michelle and I, you are frustrated by the state of Wikipedia in its arcane and ridiculous way of ignoring women's stories, especially
Yeah.
in design and the arts, please contribute to the Women in Red project. It's also a nice way to practice editing Wikipedia because it is a little bit strange and it's not
Mm.
really the kind of coding environment that you might be used to if you're doing WordPress or something like that. So do have a look at it and do follow Michelle. Michelle, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me all over the place, but I guess a good place to start is my personal website. So Michelle with two L's dot Kasprzak, Kasprzak.ca.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Michelle, for dialing in and hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have. Thanks very much.